Good evening, everyone. Welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. So CMAT response keys are out, and I'm sure you must have gone through them, right? So we'll be discussing the questions of GK and INE. Right? We've already discussed the other three sections. Okay, and in this session, I'll be discussing GK and INE, and we will see that what were the responses to the questions and which ones, like if there were any incorrect ones, etc. Okay, yes, there was one incorrect question that should be challenged. The question on GNP because none of the options was correct in that. Okay, so we'll see the questions of this GK and IND. Right, I think all other sections have already been discussed. So there was one mistake in reasoning, right? That brand relation question, two incorrect in quant. Don't know about verbal, right? I'm sure your verbal teacher might have taken that session. Okay, I'm not great at verbal, but I know two were incorrect in your quant section. One was definitely that probability one, and another was simple interest, but that still is manageable from the statements that were given. Okay, and one in GK also there was incorrect one, right? So let us look at the solutions to the questions. Okay, so this is, let's start with the GK section. This is the first question that matched the following, right? Probably this was one of the easiest questions in the paper, and most of you must have got this one correct. All of you, because you know these players, right? So it was easy to match. So PV Sindhu is associated with badminton. Now, if you see only one option, even if you know PV Sindhu, you would have answered this question, right? So Lovelina is associated with boxing, Ravi Kumar wrestler, Gagan Narak shooting, right? So that was the right answer. Okay, even in even from one could have answered it correctly. Okay. All right. Then there was a question on scheduled languages of India. Now this is there were some questions from basically your constitution, right? This time there were questions related to constitution, judiciary, etc., etc. So all good inclination towards law as well, right? So this one two statements were given. The first statement says that Bodo is one of the scheduled languages of India. Okay, and the second statement says that Nepali is one of the scheduled languages of India. So you have to answer that which of the following statements is correct, or or both of them are correct, or that thing, right? So there are 22 languages in the 8th schedule of India. Okay, and out of these 22, four were added in 2003. Okay, so earlier there were initially there were 14, then some languages were added. So four were languages were added in 2003. The one of Bodo is one of them. Okay, so Dogri, Bodo, Maithili, and Santhali. These were the four languages. So that is correct. And Nepali is also one of the scheduled languages that was added in 1992. This was added in 2003. So these both are scheduled languages. And Nepali is the only foreign language that is added in the schedule, right? So that is both of these statements are correct. Change in season occurs to now. This is a question related to science. If you've studied science, we know that Earth's rotation, right? That does not cause seasons, right? That is about day and night, right? That is not about seasons. Earth's revolution does, and inclination of Earth's axis. That is dependent on Earth's revolution, right? As Earth revolves around the sun, the inclination also changes. So that causes the change of seasons. So the answer should be B and C only. Okay, rotation does not cause change of seasons. It causes day and night. Then this was a question from history. This time the questions were good. I mean, difficult questions. I'm surprised to see that some people have scored very high in GK. I don't know the reason, but I believe that this time GK was difficult. Okay. Now this question, if someone has read history well, must be remembering it. So Gandhi-Irwin Pact was in 1931, right? So after this pact only you had those the death sentence of Bhagat Singh, those three people, right? Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru in 1931. So Gandhi Irving Pact was 1931. Nehru Report, it came in 1928. Now remember, this is not Jawaharlal Nehru, right? It is by Motilal Nehru. Okay, some of you must have thought that Jawaharlal Nehru must be at the end. So maybe some people might have marked this as the answer, right? So that was Motilal Nehru. Okay, non-cooperation movement, that was in 1920, and this Quit India movement was in 1942. So first comes non-cooperation movement, that is C. Okay, then you have Nehru Report. Okay, then you have Gandhi Irving Pact, and at the end, Quit India movement. So that is the correct order of these four events. So knowledge of history, if someone has read history, maybe Quit India movement, most of the people do, right? 1942, and probably this also, non-cooperation movement. Other two might not have been known to many people. All right. Next question is total number of judges of International Court of Justice. Right. The right answer is 15. Now there is a logical way of answering this question. Okay. See, what happens is generally, like in a jury, the number of judges is odd, right? And I'm sure you know the reason why, right? So that there is, like, if there is a judgment, so if it cannot be equally divided, right? So if there are 5 judges, it will be either 3-2, 4-1, or 5-0. Okay, it can never be equal. So there will always be a win scenario, it would be for or against a judgment. So it is always an odd number. So that one could have kept this in mind and marked 15 as the answer. Okay, that is a logical way to think given the options. But yes, one should have knowledge of this, that there are 15 judges in the International Court of Justice. Who among the following rulers belongs to slave dynasty? Again, something from medieval history. Out of these, Sher Shah Suri, Muhammad Ghori, Shamsuddin Iltutmish, and Humayun. Right? So Humayun, obviously, Mughal dynasty. You must have uh, uh, identified this. So the right answer is Iltutmish. Right? Iltutmish is the one who completed the Qutub Minar. Okay, lived during, I think, 12th or 13th century. Who among the following was a French journalist and novelist known for his series of 20 novels collectively known as Les Rougon Macquart? Now this is something very, very random question, right? Every year you get some random questions. This is one of those, and I'm surprised like to see the scores of people getting above 60 in this paper, right? How could they know these things, right? Or it might be fluke, right? It is very difficult for people to know these kind of questions, right? The right answer is Emile Zola. Okay, I'm not sure that how many of you read this thing. I read about this before the examination. Of course, you must have googled the answer after the examination, but very unlikely that some people might know this fact. Okay, and people might have used flukes to get the answer right. Now this time there were, and this was the pattern that two statements given ask that which of the following is correct, right? Which is the combination which is correct, and there were questions from science as well. Now this was a question from science saying that our lungs have two parts, the left and right lungs, and second statement says structurally two parts of the lungs are different from each other. Okay, so if you know that yes, there are two parts, left and right lungs, that is correct. Now, if you've studied science, the left lung is smaller than the right lung. Why is it so? Because in the left lung, on one side you have the heart as well, right? So that is why left lung is smaller than the right lung. So these are structurally different from each other. So both the statements are correct. Next question, probably this was one of the questions from current affairs. Okay, not too many questions. This was one. And it says that which of the following is true regarding vehicle scrapping policy recently announced by the center? Okay, now again, this is someone who must have read about the policy, or even if someone knew half of the facts, right? So it says that state governments road tax rebate and manufacturers to provide discount on purchase of new vehicle against scrapping certificate, right? So if someone knew that there is a 5% discount, might have answered this point, right? Or maybe you knew about the state government policy. So either of the two facts, if you knew, you could have answered this question. Okay, if someone knows that it is 25% rebate, so you, in that case also you could have answered this. This is the correct answer. So if you see that these are unique numbers, right? 25, 50, 33 and 40. So even if you know 25% state government rebate, or if you know 5% discount, in either case you could have answered this. But yes, that is something that required knowledge. So very few questions from current affairs. This was one of those. Now again, a question related to Constitution of India. So a lot of questions from Constitution, judiciary and all those stuff. Now if we talk about this, the rights and all. Okay, so this 5-year plan has been taken from Soviet Union, the Planning Commission and 5-year plan. So C is related to first. Okay, fundamental rights taken from United States. So if you know fundamental rights from United States, probably then you could have straight away got the answer. Okay, uh, if you know about fundamental rights and plus if you know about the 5-year plan, then also you could have got the answer. Okay, so fundamental rights, United States, and this idea of residual powers that comes from Canada, planning and five-year plan that is from Soviet Union, and directive principles of state policy, Irish Constitution. So even if you knew about any of these three, right, this directive principles or fundamental rights or 5-year plans, you would have got this one. Okay, but knowledge about Constitution is required for it. Next is GNBA. Now I would request you to please report this question because it is GNBA stands for gross non-performing assets. Okay, now they have given gross non-performing advances, gross national performing assets, gross national productive assets, gross non-performing gratuitous non-performing advances. Right, so none of the options is correct. Okay, so please report this question. Okay, people will get 4 marks for this question because it is incorrect. None of the options is correct. Okay, again a question on Indian Constitution. It says that there's a statement that Indian Constitution uses the word minority to mean any section of citizens having a distinct language, script or culture. Okay, and then this may be a whole community living within a majority community. Okay, a difficult question for people to answer. That's why I wondered that how come people answer such questions related to Constitution and all. Right? If someone has read, that is a different thing. So it's yes, it is defined as like minority is any section of citizens. They have some their own language, script, or culture. Right? That is true. And even this part that they may be a whole community living within a majority committee, right? So they can be minorities can be within majority. So both these statements are true. Now this was an easy question. You read about different terms. So butterfly is a kind of swimming, right? So you have different kind of swimming: freestyle, breaststroke, right? Backstroke and butterfly. So these are the 4 kinds of swimming activities. So butterfly, people might have answered this one. Okay, commonly known term. Which form of Indian dance shows influence of Persian culture? So if we talk about these dance, right? So kathak is something that is a kind of Indo-Islamic, right? It was developed during the Mughal period. So kathak is Indo-Persian dance form, right? So some elements of this has been taken from the Persian thing. The right answer is kathak. Maybe some people might have guessed this. Okay. Article 356 of the Constitution. Now, although this was also again from the Constitution of India, but people are expected to know these things, right? So this is a common article which you often hear about, right? Emergency in the country. So that is imposition of president rules in a state. There are three articles: 352, 356, and 360, which are the three types of emergencies in the country, right? So 352 is basically national emergency. Now this national emergency could be due to some war or some kind of like some event which is like unfortunate event like a war, right? So that is considered as a national emergency. 356 is basically state emergency in which president rule is applied. Okay, so let us say there is like sudden the ruling party collapses in a state, right? So if the government is dissolved, so that in that case state emergency is applied. That is Article 356. Okay, and 360 is financial emergency. Okay, so these are three articles related to emergencies. So 356 is for president rule in state. And I assume that many of the people would be knowing the right answer to this question. Must have heard of this president rule many a times. The first country to be labeled as Banana Republic was. So what is Banana Republic? These are in Indian history also you must have heard of that cash crops being like cash crops, right? So Britishers asked India to produce sugar cane because those were commercial crops, right? So likewise in Central America, some countries are forced to they were forced to produce certain kind of crops, right? Like bananas, right? Especially bananas. That is why they are called banana because it's a tropical fruit, right? So Honduras is the first country that was labeled as banana republic. So Honduras, Guatemala, these were countries that were termed as banana republic. Okay. Professor Amartya Sen was honored with which of these prizes? Now, this also people could have answered logically also if you do not know things, right? Because see this, Amartya Sen, you know that he's a famous economist and he won the Nobel Prize because there are only few people who have won Nobel Prize from India, right? So he won the Nobel Prize in 1998. So C is definitely there. So one could have rejected these options. Now, UNESCO Peace Prize. Why will an economist receive Peace Prize? Right? Unlikely. Looks unlikely. Right? Maybe he does something, some peaceful activity that is fine, but there are less chances. Right? If it was some like Nobel Prize in Peace, then you can consider okay, this could be this. Also. That's a logical way to answer it, but not the absolutely correct one. He received Bharat Ratna next year in 1999. Right? So the answer is B and C only. So only these are correct. He did not receive UNESCO Peace Prize. Okay, so that is the answer to this question. On what does the rupee dollar exchange rate in India depend? So, like if you know about this forex and all, so that is about demand and supply equilibrium. If the demand is high, the rate will go up and vice versa. Now this is again I believe an easy question. Given that you had to, if it was like single, right? If they asked that what is the easternmost point or the westernmost point, maybe could have been tricky for you, right? So if you see the northernmost, you know, is Siachen, right? So only one option. If you see that first option gives you this, right? Southernmost is Indira Point. Then you have easternmost is Kibithu, that is in Gujarat, and this western. Sorry, this is in Sar Creek is in Gujarat, and Kibitu is, I think, in Arunachal Pradesh, the easternmost, right? So this was again an easy one. Match the following, whatever match the following came, be it sport related, right? Be it in like any of those, it was very easy. Okay, this match the following. Sport one, you had two match the following in I and E, those were again very simple. So everyone knows that Siachen is the northmost point, right? Who does not know? Okay, itna basic to everyone knows. So northernmost point you mark Siachen, there is only one option. I would say that this was one of the easiest questions which people must have got. Now this is again a question from science. Again, I believe that not many people would be knowing this fact. Okay, and that's why I was wondering that how could people score so high in GK this time? Maybe flukes have worked for those. Right, so statement one says food is cooked in a pressure cooker quickly because it retains heat for a longer period. Second statement is food is cooked in pressure cooker quickly because boiling point of water increases. Okay, so the right answer is that the boiling point of water increases. So normal boiling point is 100, so it goes up to I think up to 120 degrees. So that boiling point of water increases, that makes this to to cook the food quickly, right? And first is not correct. So first is false, but second is okay. Okay, now this was a tricky question, right? It says that provide the full form of CGTMSE, a scheme meant for micro and small enterprises. So many people might have marked this as the answer, credit guarantee trust, because CGTMSE. But actually it is credit guarantee fund trust for micro and small enterprises. So a tricky question. People might have got it wrong because they do not see F, so they think that fund cannot be there. So it is credit guarantee fund trust for micro and small enterprises. Okay, so that is the right answer to this. Okay, so that was the GK section. Now we are going to discuss the I and E section. Okay, so first question on this is ideas should not be examined for the real life use and application. I believe was doable, right? Generic questions. If you have some sort of business awareness, you could have done this. GK was difficult this time. I mean, it is every time. In fact, this time it was more of static and constitution and all those things which people do not generally know. So now we'll talk about this, that ideas should not be examined for the real life use and application. So that is incorrect, right? Ideas should be examined logically. Like if you get some idea, you should check those, evaluate those ideas, right? So that is incorrect. Okay. Business opportunity can be described as an economic idea that can be implemented to create a business enterprise and earn profits. Right? What is opportunity? Opportunity is something which you see that okay, this is something which can be a good thing in the future, right? So that is business opportunity, which is about that implementation to create business profit. So first is false and second is true. Next question, match this list. Okay, now this is an easy one. Okay, it says that Raymond, this if you go to MACD, right? So I'm laminate, you must have seen. Okay, so D is your third, right? Now A is second, Raymond the complete man. Okay, now you're left with Amul and Weekender, right? So Amul is not about wear your attitude. Okay, see MACD, everyone knows, I'm loving it. You see a lot of ads, isn't it? So this you must have known. Now if you mark this, so you see there are two options which are left. So in both the options, Raymond says complete man. Even if you do not remember the ad, you can I mean see from the options. Okay. Now Amul, if even if you do not know the tagline, right? Amul cannot be wear your attitude. Amul is not about attitude. Amul is gift of for someone you love, right? So that is C is first and B will be fourth. Weekender will be wear your attitude. So that is the right answer. So sometimes in this, sometimes in match the following, like even if you know one or two things that help you answer the remaining part. Atal Innovation Mission aims to create and promote culture of. Right now, see this is, I mean, even if you do not know the answer, okay, the name of that section is innovation and entrepreneurship. Right, it talks about innovation, so innovation should be one of the things. Okay, and it is nothing related to energy conservation, right? So you can relate it that it will be innovation and entrepreneurship. Okay, you could have just used common sense even if you did not know the fact, right? You know that okay, it contains the word innovation, and that might lead to entrepreneurship, not energy conservation or like this is, and entrepreneurship and energy conservation looks different, right? So innovation and entrepreneurship is the right answer. Maybe you could have used that logic. Now again, this was a simple question. I hope some of you must have watched Shark Tank. Okay, if you watch Shark Tank, two of the things you already knew. Okay, Oyo Rooms, Ritesh Agarwal is a famous guy. Okay, even if you do not know Oyo Rooms, I assume that if you watch Shark Tanks, people must have got this one right. Right? So Sugar Cosmetics is Vinita Singh. Okay, so you must have seen B first. Okay, so that is an option. Yes, right. So Oyo Rooms is Ritesh Agrawal. So Sugar Cosmetics is Vinita Singh. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, very famous, right? Which you are expected to know. Lenskart Piyush Bansal. Okay, so these are uh, the the owners of these companies. Okay. Then 5 phases of entrepreneurial process. Okay, opportunity evaluation, planning, idea generation. Obviously, idea will come first, right? So you can eliminate option A. Okay, so idea generation, then it is saying growth. Again, it is talking about growth. Growth will happen once you start something, right? Idea ke baad suddenly growth will not happen. So if you look at this point, right? So one would have logically see if your logic about business, so you could have answered this, right? Not even awareness. So idea generation, then you have some opportunity, you generate some ideas, you get some opportunities, which is the better opportunity. You plan something, you form company launch, and growth will be the last stage, right? Once you start something, then only there will be growth, right? If there is nothing, how can just you have growth? So that is the right order. Okay, that is the 5 phases of entrepreneurial process. Founders translate company ideas into business model hypothesis, test assumptions about customers' needs, and then create a dash to find out their proposed solution on customers. Okay, so what they generally do is, see, first of all, they create a business model. Okay, they will be selling this product or something. Then they check customer needs. What is the customer need? And then they create a sort of basically a product, right, which has very basic features, right? So that product is called minimum viable product, MVP. Okay, so that is the answer. So these people, the businesses, they take customer survey and then they try to launch a product to test that whether it is going to be successful or not. So initially they give minimum features in it, right? So whenever the product comes in the market, it has less features, because once they see that okay, this has opportunity, this is doing good, then only they will add features, because that costs thing, right? To add features and all. So that is called minimum viable product. Document that projects the income, expenses, and profits of a business over a multi-year period. So again, this is an easy question which people could have answered, that financial plan. It financial will talk about income, expenses, profit, right? It will not be a technical plan. It will not be marketing plan, right? Everything, income, expenses, profit, everything will be covered in the financial plan. Okay. Governments increase, most appropriate reason for the government's increased role in business globally. Uh, this was a tricky question to answer, right? So cost of production that have increased, that is true, but that is not the reason that government is increasing the roles. People's attitudes have changed, but that does not related to it. Products have become very technical. Again, not uh, like there could people could have uh, tackled between these two options, but the right answer is this. This looks more appropriate. Okay, this looks more appropriate that competition has changed. So if there is high competition, then government also try to increase the businesses globally. According to Schumpeter, which of the following is the primary function of a new age entrepreneur? Okay, again, something that you could have used is the name of the chapter. Like again, this was a difficult one. If you do not know this person's theory, and you need to know this person's theory. So that some people might have art. So for example, I marked creativity. I did not know, right? But the right answer is innovation. And invention is not about entrepreneur. Invention are basically uh, like you find something through research and all, right? But innovation is modification to existing things for like better business opportunity. Which of the following factors is not relevant for judging the adequacy of market? Okay. Which of these factors is not important? Okay. Now, total present domestic market, that is very important, right? Like if you know the domestic market, that is something that you must know. Okay. Competitors and their market share, that is also relevant. Okay, you can have answered this logically also. That competitors is relevant, isn't it? If you do not have idea about competitors, you launch something, there are already big players, you won't be able to survive. So you should know that what are your competitors, what is their market share, which is big competitor, which is small competitor, etc. Okay. Then export market is also something required, right? If you are like domestic market as well as export market, so also labor market is something that is not so relevant. And labor market means the workforce, right? Workforce you can get, so no need to, that is not as relevant for finding the adequacy of a market. So Sequoia Capital, you must have heard that it's a famous venture capital firm, and it invests in a lot of startups in India. A lot of companies, you hear that it is being funded by Sequoia Capital. So VC firm is a kind of firm that is that invests in different businesses across the globe, or in a country or globe. Like it's a global firm. So yes, that is a VC firm. Shishu, Kishore, and Tarun are three products created by Dash to signify the stage of growth, development, and funding needs for the beneficiary of micro unit entrepreneur, and also provide a reference point for the next phase of graduation growth. So it is related to one of the schemes, right? So which scheme is it? So I think if you watched our this thing, your uh, like classes on innovation or entrepreneurship, we discussed about these things. So they are in the Mudra scheme, right? So Mudra Yojana, these are the three schemes: Shishu, Kishore, and Tarun. So Shishu means child, Kishore means a small kid, and Tarun means a teenager, right? So in the Shishu scheme, it's a small loans, right, up to 50,000, right? So it is about 50,000, right? Kishore is 50,000 to 5 lakh, and Tarun is 5 to 10 lakhs. Right? So that these are loans given under this Mudra scheme for different projects. Shruti wants to start a small floral shop. As a part of her business plan, he prepared an entertaining MS PowerPoint presentation to garner interest among the potential investors and trigger discussion. This format of business plan is known as. So whenever, let us say if you go to the investor, right, you to give a presentation, that thing is called a pitch deck. So you pitch your business idea to the investor that this is my business idea, this is going to be the expense, this is the project revenue, these are going to be the number of people in the company. Okay, these are the different products that we will be launching, this is the pricing strategy and all those. So brief about the business idea and all. So that is called a pitch deck. Okay. Having more than one customer segment, right? So what does it do? Okay, so is it beneficial or not, right? So can never be beneficial as this makes entrepreneur lose focus, can never be beneficial as it brings in undesired complexity, can be beneficial as it helps maintain consistent business throughout the year, can be beneficial it helps reduce cost. Okay, now if you see this thing, it, you cannot say that it makes an entrepreneur lose focus, right? You can have more than one segment. Obviously there are businesses that have more than one segment, right? You cannot say that it cannot be beneficial and it becomes undesired complexity. You can make things simple in multiple things also, right? So the right answer should be it helps maintain consistent business, right? It can be, it is not saying that it is definitely beneficial. There are chances that it can be beneficial, and the reason is it can give you consistent business throughout the year, right? Let us say you have some products which are sold only in some season, other you have other segment, right? So that is how it is here. Okay, now this is kind of match the following thing, right? So entrepreneur, if you see entrepreneur, it's calculated risk taking, isn't it? Entrepreneur is associated with risk taking. So you can eliminate options A and D. You have B and C. You have this and this option. Okay, manager get the work done. Right, manager is known for this. Right now, among retailer and customer, you have utility maximization and value addition. So what? Why do you? Who do you add value for? Right? We add value for customers. Right? Retailer, yes, that is maximize the utility. Okay, so that is the answer will be yes. Okay. An entrepreneur can get a lot of quality information about competitors from, right? So from which of these sources can an entrepreneur get quality information about competitors? Company reports and published accounts. Yes, a person can get report, but see the option, there is an option called all of the above, right? So first, do not mark A as the answer straight away. Let us see this. So company reports definitely will give information. Product information, yes, that will also give information that what are the products, what are the prices of different products. And from this, a person can get information about your competitors. Websites, definitely, right? Whatever things are listed on their website, you know that okay, these are the things that the competitor is doing. Okay, so all the above, all these sources can be used to get information about the competitors. Which of the following terms appropriately refers to the attractive idea that an entrepreneur invests in? So that idea that we call is like, see, what does an entrepreneur do, right? So that person invests some, comes up with some idea and considers it as an opportunity. Okay, the businessman considers that this is an opportunity, this is a good idea, that valuable idea, right? So a person considers that that is an opportunity, the person should go with this idea and then implement it. So that is considered as an opportunity. A professional or manager who takes a new initiative for his or her organization and establish a new distinct business unit for the same organization can appropriately be referred as. So now what happens is, let us say in a company, like a company has a lot of businesses. There is a person who is launching his own field, like some sort of product kind of thing, uh, and that is called like entrepreneur within a company, right? He's not the owner of the entire company, but owns a certain kind of product or like some business unit. Like let's say a person creates another stream of business within a company. That person is called intrapreneur. Okay, so maybe you know the word intra. Intra means that within, right? So within a company, if there is an entrepreneur, that is called an intrapreneur. So that is like some different line of business within a the main company. Okay, suppose there is a conglomerate, okay, which is a combination of different businesses. Let us say a person starts uh, a business of some motor cars. Okay, so that will be called an entrepreneur. Okay, so this is something definitions, right? So this we had uh, uh, this thing that uh, diversification means adding new lines of business. So diversification is like what is diversification is, let us say you are into some sort of businesses, and then uh, you decide to go into some other forms of businesses also, right? So that is called diversification. Okay, so that is called addition of uh, that is like adding new lines of businesses. Okay, so that is true. Second is differentiation means creating a specialized product that gain competitive advantage with a particular segment of the market. Okay, so differentiation is basically differentiation. The word, what does differentiation? The word means difference, right? So if you create something different in the market, okay, and that is something uh, that is called like you have some special features, right? That is called differentiation. So that is, so both these statements are true. So for this, one needs to have a theoretical knowledge. One needs to know what is diversification, what is differentiation. Okay, so these were the answers to the questions from the two sections. Okay, and that was the solutions to the two sections. Right, so some of you are asking about this CMAT score versus percentile, right? So we do not know the exact scores of majority. I heard from some people that some people have scored 370, but I don't know that if that is true or false. But I came to know this news that some people have even scored. I doubt that that higher score is possible because there are a lot of questions which were I mean, especially in GK, there were very like static questions which were not doable, right? I don't know if people read lot about constitution and all. That I doubt. Okay, but my belief is, let us say 99. See, the toppers will always be an outlier. So 99.9, that could be at somewhere around 315, right? Then 99.5 percentile uh, could be at somewhere around 290. 99 percentile 280. Okay, so these are some of the predictions, right? Then 98 about 270, 95 subtract 20 less from this 250 marks, 95 percentile. Okay, then 90 percentile could be around 230. And so if you are getting around 230, you might get 90 percentile. And 80 percentile 25 marks कम कर लेते हैं. 80 percentile could be around 205 to 210, 70 at 180. So rough prediction that. Yeah, so I was wondering that someone told me that some people have scored 370. I don't believe that 370 is possible in this paper. Genuine attempt, right? Very difficult. Yeah. GK में, like even if you read a lot, कि constitution में कौन सी languages, many very few people would know that unless someone has जो law का student होगा and all might have done that, but there was science also. Yeah, pressure cooker question people would not know, right? And yeah, even in these sections, okay. Okay, centers में cheating हुई है possible, that is quite much possible because seeing the scores, people saying that they are getting 70, people are scoring 17 GK. I do not think that it is uh, possible for a genuine candidate. Very unlikely unless someone studies only GK. That's a different thing. Let us say some UPSC aspirant, they can score that. I can believe कि वो लोग ला सकते हैं 70. But generally जो normal जनता होती है MBA aspirants, yeah, very difficult go beyond 60 in this, right? Accuracy does not matter. Final score matters. So some people tell that your accuracy matters. That does not matter. Eventually, your final score matters. Okay, so these are the predictions. Generally, some of you were asking, what can you expect at this score? 243. 243 will be somewhere around 93, 94, around 94. 225, slightly less than 90. Or maybe 90 also. It is, see, just predictions, right? Like maybe 90, maybe 88 kind of thing. Okay, so this is roughly, someone was saying 341. So 341, you must definitely be in the top 10, right? Maybe in the top 5 also. But someone said that two people have got 370. I do not, like, I heard somewhere 340, like 370, that I do not know, right? How can people score 370? But 341 will definitely be in the top 10. Okay, 272, 272, see, यहाँ से देख लो ना, 98 plus percentile. क्या तो आ जाएगा 98 पर आ जाएगा. 99 will be, ऐसा भी हो सकता है, this can go up to 275 also. But seeing the difficulty level of the paper, I believe that these would be the scores. Okay, who is predicting 320 for 95 percentile? Are they morons? I mean, they do not know the paper, right? So 320 for 95 is just bullshit. Okay, 95 percentile, 250, 260, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं. Okay, so that is the just some predictions. Okay, but less, we do not know, right, what has happened with the scores and all. So we'll see. But based on the difficulty level of the paper, these are my predictions. Okay. All right. So those were the solutions to these two sections. I'm sure you must have seen other solutions also, quant, LR, and verbal. Okay. And in this case, GNPA question was incorrect. And in quant, there were two incorrect. One in LR as well, and maybe some other. I don't know if there are incorrect questions in verbal also. Okay. All right. So that's it for this video, right? Thanks for watching the video. Have a great day. Goodbye.